In this video, I'm going to show you how to learn 2000 verbs in German fast. Not the lazy way, not effortlessly. This is going to be hard work, but it's definitely worth it because if you learn 2000 verbs, you can talk about anything in the language. And not only that, if you learn all these verbs, you also learn all these sentences, you will learn a lot of vocab as well. So it's also useful to learn lots of extra vocab and also grammar because this includes lots of grammar in the sentences. So, how do we learn the verbs? We've got a column here with all the verbs, and here we've got example sentences, and in the third column we've got the English translation of the example sentences. This is the way to do it. If you just learn the words and then, especially for verbs, and then you got another column with all these verbs translated into English, it's going to be much harder because context is everything, and sometimes the same verb doesn't mean exactly the same thing in one language, or it's got multiple meanings, etc. So, yeah, the best way to do it is using example sentences. That said, we should start by memorizing them with associations, always, because it's going to make this part much easier. So step one is going to be looking at the verbs and creating mental images, associations. Okay, so we take the verb werden, and that means to become. So you think of become, you create a mental image for become, and it's not that easy because it's not like to eat or to sleep, which are very easy to visualize. These kind of verbs, they are a little bit more abstract, and you need to do some more work. I'm sure you can visualize something. Become. If you can't visualize become, you can visualize something that looks or sounds like this, like bacon, for example. Almost become almost looks like you only have to change one letter, right? One letter here, and then there's no sound for the e in the end. So become bacon, yeah, almost the same thing. Then you find something that sounds like werden, like word, for example. An English word looks like werden with an N. But forget the N's in the end because all of them have it, so you should, not might as well, you should ignore it because it's just irrelevant because they all have it. Yeah? You should always look at the root, not the declination. So werden, but we'll use vad. So word in English. So use bacon for this. Bacon becomes words. So you visualize bacon and then it turns into words or a word. Does it sound stupid? Absolutely. Is it effective? Yeah. If you actually visualize it, you will remember it. And then we do the same thing with all of them, 2000 of them. This is a skill. The more you do it, the better you get at it. If you are a beginner, you can do 20 or 30 a day of this and just keep practicing, trying to do a little bit more every day. And eventually, you'll be able to do a lot more. I can do over 100 easily in an hour, maybe half an hour if I'm super, if I had lots of coffee and I'm motivated. So you visualize the words, you associate them, create mental. You have to actually see it, right? Next, we do that with 20, 30, 50 a day until we finish the whole thing. Meanwhile, we start reading the list. We need to read it several times. First time it's going to be just reading it in German. Or if it's way too difficult still because you don't know much German, then you read the English first. He will become a successful engineer. Wird ein erfolgreicher Ingenieur werden. Ingenieur werden. They have this French style pronunciation for some of these words. So understand the meaning first. Okay, it means that he will become a successful engineer. Then you read it in German. Okay. Then, despite all the differences, they were united by the rejection of the old regime, I guess. Yes. Trotz aller Gegensätze einte sie doch die Ablehnung des alten Regimes. They do have all this French sounding, because the natural pronunciation for this in German would be regimes, but they pronounce it the French way. They do it with a lot of words, I guess, because of historical reasons, because they come from French, I guess. Okay, so yeah, you read them in English first, then in German. Now knowing what they mean, but you do this after you visualize and associate the words, so that you recognize the verb when you see it. And some of them might be conjugate, yeah, sagen, sie sagt, but you'll recognize. That's why it's important not to visualize the N in the end, not to use them for the visualization. So you keep visualizing vocabulary, associating it with mnemonics, and memorizing it. You continue reading it. Read it several times. First time, read it in English, then in German. Second time, German first, and then check the English if you don't understand. By the time you've read it 5 to 10 times, you'll understand a lot already, if you've been doing this as well, memorizing with associations. And then we'll do the magic trick of, not a magic trick, it's the oldest and most effective way of memorizing stuff, which is retrieval practice. So you can either ignore this, hide it, and read the English and try to say it in German, and then look. Yeah. So we can go to the cinema tomorrow. We kunnen morgen ins Kino gehen. We kunnen morgen ins Kino gehen. Okay. If I said we kunnen morgen nach der Kino gehen, that'd be wrong. So then I would read this aloud again to correct myself. So yeah, you trying, by doing this, you trying to think, you read it in English, trying to say it in German, so you're forcing yourself to think in the language. Then you check. You actually say it, by the way. You should say it aloud so that you training yourself to speak aloud in the language instead of just thinking. And then you check and you self-correct again aloud. So you get an immediate feedback again and again. And this way you can practice your speaking. You can practice all areas of the speaking as well. So by doing this, memorize them with associations, read, check again, read again, and then retrieval practice, you can learn all of them very quickly in a matter of weeks. And that's it, basically. You could also put this in flashcards, Anki flashcards, you download it, and you make flashcards with it if you'd rather not read on your computer, and you do the retrieval practice like that. Yeah. And this is how you learn 2000 verbs in German fast. If you spend a couple hours a day with this, you can learn them in a couple of weeks, I think. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you later.